Welcome to Base Space, a crypto podcast. Base Space.
Yes, you think market's going to continue recovering, or do you think it's just a blip? We're going to go sideways or down?
I don't know, man. We're seeing pretty low intent right across the board. Whether it's like traditional investments, onboarding new customers, or even crypto in general is a little soft. I was kind of expecting a stronger start to Q1.
Yeah, I did a Google Trends search. If you search for Bitcoin, it's actually coming down. If you search for crypto, it's holding up like steady against previous highs. But DeFi and a few other topics are still all-time highs, right? So it really depends. NFT DeFi is still going strong, but it's definitely slowing down if you're just looking on the Bitcoin search terms on a global basis. So I think it's just a different type of customer now that's joining, and they're more, I think, fast money, and so it's just a different mix of users coming in.
Yeah, Alex, do you think this kind of is foreshadowing the shift of Bitcoin kind of like losing, its position in the driver's seat when it comes to the industry as a whole?
Well, I don't think so. I think institutions are still only comfortable with Bitcoin, maybe a little bit Ethereum, right? So they're sticking with the gold. But I think, again, people that are working for fast returns or looking for high turn, probably are skipping Bitcoin. But that's definitely the minority. In dollar terms, that's definitely the minority of the volume, right? So if you look at the daily trading volumes or whatever, Bitcoin still dominates. And I think there's a little bit of uncertainty right now with what the Fed is going to do, with where the economy is going, with COVID, this new resurgence of this new variant. So some people are just hit the pause button, and kind of the same thing with the markets, right? The public markets. You see Bitcoin recovered in tandem with the markets. So that's not good news. I mean, we were hoping that 2022 will kind of indicate the beginning of this separation, or um, unbundling of what we have for the last 13 years, where Bitcoin is basically following public markets, right? So that's not good. That's not good for crypto, because we don't want to be tied to the Fed or tied to the stock market.
How much do you think the not having a spot ETF really kind of affects Bitcoin's kind of growth?
It's definitely a big impact on many institutions who just in their charter cannot touch some of the products that exist today. So they can't buy the Canadian ETF, they can't buy spot Bitcoin, they can't necessarily touch the futures. So the fact that we don't have this product is definitely stifling growth, but at the same time, it's good to have an extra bullet in the chamber, right? So if we used everything up, then what's going to drive us to 100,000 and beyond, right? So the fact that I think in the US we're less than 50% adoption, many other countries it's still less than 20 or 30%, is all dry powder to drive us higher, right? So and we went very fast from 10 to almost 70, right? So I think we talked several times last year about the need for a correction. If you've been watching my AMAs, I think it was at 65,000. I've told all of my viewers that it's time to rebalance their portfolios several times. Again, it's hodl and rebalance, right? That's the key. A lot of people just forget about the second part. They just hodl forever. So you have to decide if what is the percentage of crypto in your portfolio. So let's say you decide, okay, it's going to be 30%, and when it goes to 40 or 50, you need to rebalance, right? You need to sell some, put some dry powder on the sidelines, and sometimes you'll miss the tops and you'll be like frustrated, but sometimes will be like right now where you get to pick up Bitcoin at 40,000 instead of 70,000, right? So it's just a good practice that some of the best investors in the world do consistently. Most funds do that every quarter, and you just have to decide if you want to follow best practices or you're better than all of these mavens on Wall Street.
Yeah, I think we're all better than the mavens on Wall Street. That's for sure. Well,
Well,
I just, yeah,
we're better because we're all in on Bitcoin, but that does not mean you shouldn't be rebalancing.
very true. Yeah. I want to actually officially welcome all the listeners, and if you're tuning out on other platforms like Spotify or YouTube, to the Base Space podcast. For those that don't know, it's hosted by myself, the Crypto Mewtwo, Chase Coins, and Super High, and we focus on creating opportunities for growth, networking, and education in the crypto industry. Today, we're honored to have Alex Mashinsky, founder and CEO of Celsius Network, on the show. Welcome to the Base Space, Alex.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're super pumped to have you on. Since you haven't been on the show before, we always like to ask new guests how they got into crypto.
Yeah, so I know Scott Stornetta. If you guys know, he's the inventor of the Merkle tree of the blockchain, basically, 1991. And so I've known about the technology for a long time, dabbled in it in 2004. And one of my co-workers, a friend, showed me Satoshi paper in, I think it was 2009. And I read through it. It was really short and quick. I was like, this will never happen, right? This is it's very inefficient, it's wasteful, it needs a lot of energy, it's very slow. There's much better solution than that. So I totally dismissed that. In the beginning I was a Bitcoin denier, like there's still a lot of them out there. And after Mt. Gox, I really forced myself to rethink what am I missing, because here comes 2014, 90% of the volume just disappear overnight. You know, hundreds of thousands of coins are locked up in this court battle, and Bitcoin just keeps walking like nothing happened. So I had to really re-examine my understanding of what Satoshi solved, and only when it's almost like reprogramming your own brain. It's like you're forcing neurons that are firing against it to shut up and listen. you know and really the value of solving the double spend problem, the value of a fully decentralized ledger. You don't understand that until you really really dig in deep, and you realize that there's no other solution, right? There's no better way. So it took me a while. I mean, it wasn't normally I'm on the bleeding edge, on the cutting edge. Here I was, I joined late, so definitely didn't pick any of that $10 or $20 Bitcoin.
I think we're in the same boat. I was also one of those people that didn't really understand crypto or Bitcoin, and kind of dismissed it at first when I first heard about it. But I really caught on more in 2017 with like the ICO boom and everything like that. I just had to get in with all my coworkers making so much money in the space.
Yeah, listen, 50 or 100 years from now, people will be calling you an OG. They'll be like, oh, you were one of the first. They'll forget about that few years in between is like nothing. That's like 5 minutes.
Absolutely, in the long run. And yeah, like even people joining now, it's still so early. There's still so much innovation happening. It's insane what the next decade is going to look like for us. Alex, I'm curious, like, how did you make your way to actually founding Celsius?
So Daniel Leon and me were kind of looking at our company's called Governing Dynamics. So we stole that from, if you watch the movie Beautiful Mind. So Elliot Nash is using that when he's standing on a roof at Yale and he's saying, I'm not going to be doing what everybody else is doing over here. I'm going to focus on the governing dynamics, on the big things. So we were looking for the big things that could really change the world and try to apply our skills to focus on that. And he kept nagging me about the blockchain. Now, already, again, 2016, 2017, I already had Bitcoin and Ethereum, but the point was, he was like, look, we got to get into it and do a project. And I was like, what kind of project? I mean, just, we made some investments. They're working very well. He's like, no. We got to find the next killer app in crypto. And I was like, well, what's the first one? you know, you want to do the second one? What's the first one? And because when you read Satoshi's paper, it says peer-to-peer cash system, right? Which means it's a payment system. But really, anyone who bought anything with Bitcoin is still miserable about it, right? Is disappointed. Like everyone on this call would love to reverse every transaction you would have ever done in Bitcoin and get all those Bitcoins back. You would pay a double or a triple in dollar terms, right? In fiat immediately right now just to get all those Bitcoin back. So none of us have that experience when we use PayPal or when we use our checking account or credit card, right? So obviously Bitcoin is not a very good payment system, right? Not that technically it doesn't work. It worked great technically, but because the value of the coin goes up so much, it's a disaster to use it for payments. So basically we decide, okay, it's not going to be payments. It's not going to be all these other little things that people are trying. And we decided to focus on yield because banks and central banks have basically been robbing us blind for the last 30 years, right? Paying us nothing for our money, not because they can't, right? Just a few days ago, banks published the highest profits in their history. Well, do you think they can use some of those profits to pay us 2, 3, 4% on our money? Of course they can. They just choose not to. They have to give all that money to their shareholders. So we said, okay, if the banks and the central banks, right, the Fed has lower rates to zero to help all of these zombie companies, right, that shouldn't exist, not to help us. So if none of those guys are going to help us, how about we created a platform that paid yield without any connection to the Fed or the banks or anything else? We paid yield on Bitcoin, paid yield on Ethereum. And I'm talking about 2 years before Compound or Aave, right? So Celsius launched more than a year before any of those other companies had any products or services, right? We were the first to kind of give you an account. You just downloaded an app, you put the coins in, whatever you had, and boom, it automatically every Monday you got yield on it, like magic, right? So and that was a crazy experience. A lot of people thought we were a Ponzi scheme because they were like, where do you get the yield? You can't earn yield on Bitcoin. What is that? Where does it come from? And now there's 100 companies trying to copycat what we've done. So we really gave birth to this concept of yield. And now there's probably, I don't know, 40, 50 million people using it worldwide. And it's a second anchor after store of value, obviously, for Bitcoin, Ethereum. The second anchor is yield delivered through CeFi or DeFi. So I'm super excited that, again, that we kind of got to do this. We were there right from the beginning. We did an ICO. We invited the community, put $50 million to help us launch this. And we delivered the product 3 months later, right? So we're one of those rare ICOs that outperformed, that actually delivered on everything they promised.
Yeah, what you've done, Alex, is truly incredible and has set up like a nice benchmark, right? A standard for how ICOs and how others can go about launching a company in crypto. I'm actually really curious, like, what's the most important lesson you've learned throughout this whole process of building Celsius?
So Celsius is my 8th company as a founder, right? So the first 7 were all venture backed, and my entire career was about going to VCs, pitching them on some idea, having them give you their seed round or A round, right? And then again, they dictate everything because they give you all the money you need to grow. And after a while, like in most of these companies, I ended up with 5 or 10% of the company, right? They squeeze you out and you're done. And here, you can go to a community of people, share with them your idea in the white paper, and then your customers, your future customers, are giving you money up front and tell you, okay, look, if you're going to build this, we're going to fund it. Give us some tokens so we can participate in the growth, in the future growth, and we're all going to either make it together or not make it together. At least that's the idea, right? And obviously, a lot of people took advantage of it and did the scams and stole money from investors and so on. But the concept is just beautiful, right? Because it's our when we launched our product in July of 2018, our first few thousand customers were all our ICO holders, right? ICO cell token holders, and they just started pouring money in. I mean, I went and pitched Celsius to Tim Draper in May of 2017. Okay. And Tim, look, I know Tim for 25 years, right? And obviously he's one of the OGs in crypto, is one of the, best supporters of the industry. And he looked at me and said, Alex, I know you for a long time, but I'm not going to give you my Bitcoin. I'm not going to put it in your wallet. So it wasn't like obvious that people are going to send it to you. Like, yeah, I put my own coins in there. I have over $300 million in Celsius personally, right? Just earning yield. But it was definitely not obvious that 1.5 million people are going to change their ways, and instead of trusting exchanges and cold wallets, are going to decide to earn yield and hodl with Celsius. So the community decided, the community voted, the community demanded every week. Believe me, I get emails. You should see the emails I get. I get love letters, and I get, you're not doing enough, all in one email, right? It starts, we love you, we love Celsius, and then here is 10 ideas you should implement immediately. So it's tough love, and I definitely, being so close to your customers, I've never had that before, right? And I've done a few of these before, so I just love it. I mean, I love the interaction. I think we have 800 employees. I can tell you most of them don't love it as much as I do, because they get beaten up with the community demanding more cell utility, demanding more new products. But many of them are on this call with us here today, and the passion, the 7 days a week, the giving you that feedback instantly is just it's gold.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can imagine the community would drive you a bit insane, but hey, it's great, man. I love all the engagement that I see across CT, and I think you guys are doing an amazing job in regards to engaging with the community. I love how you guys are doing Twitter Spaces pretty actively, and how active your customer service and social media is. It's quite impressive compared to a lot of other companies that aren't at the same level as you guys. I'm also, like, in regards to Celsius and like everything that you've done there, like, what would you say is like your proudest accomplishment so far of building the company?
Well, we provided financial freedom to thousands of people, tens of thousands of people. We paid $1 billion out, right? So if you go and you check, okay, how much did Wells Fargo pay their customers last year in yield, in interest, right? We would be standing next to them. Like, now Wells Fargo has, like, I don't know, 70, 80 million customers, right? And here's little Celsius paying as much money out in yield as these thieves. It's just crazy. Right. So we have people who, again, they're sending us their life stories every day, right? Sharing with us how, they couldn't pay their mortgage, they couldn't pay their student loans, they didn't know, they couldn't see a light at the end of the tunnel because their money wasn't working for them, or they were stuck with credit card debt, right? And they just couldn't get out of it. There's just a vicious cycle that most of us get stuck in. The 99% get stuck in, and there's no way out, right? So I think the biggest thing we received from the community was trust. They made what I call trust deposits, and what we gave them is hope, right? Interest is just the product. Interest is what you get in your cell wallet, but what you get in your heart is hope, right? A lot of our community members will tell you, their energy is higher. They're much more, they feel like they're alive. And all of it is just because their financial situation has improved a little bit. We didn't fix their financial situation. We just got them to stop having bad habits and got them to have a little bit more good habits. It's like a diet, right? You do a little bit of dieting, a little bit of exercising, and suddenly you feel so much better. It's the same thing with financial planning. It's just requires that daily attention, and the adrenaline just fixes everything else.
Yeah, I think that's really important, kind of just to teach people not to, waste their money and where to put their money where it can work for them. And you've provided opportunities for a lot of people, and that's really admirable. Something that I was looking at on your borrowing that kind of caught my eye is that you can get as low as a 1% interest rate on borrowing. Could you kind of explain on how you achieve such a low borrowing rate?
Sure. And we have no secrets. I mean, we tell everybody, also our competitors, exactly how we make money. It's not but because most of the yield goes back to the community, we don't need to keep it as a secret, right? Because and I love it. Like we finally putting enough pressure on the banks. I don't know if you saw this morning, Wells Fargo announced that they're going to terminate overdraft fees. And yesterday, I think Bank of America announced that they're going to terminate some other fee. It's just finally we're starting to see banks reacting to tens of billions of dollars leaving them, right? Leaving them because they're such asses. So what does Celsius do? It's very simple. We make money lending assets to institutions. Now, we can get assets in two different ways. One is you just send us your coins and we lend them out for you, right? And then you get to keep the vast majority of what we earn. We actually don't make any money from our lending business. It's a break-even business. And the second part is that you can take a loan against your assets, right? So you don't, like right now, if you need money, you can sell your Bitcoin, but then the government is going to take half of that money immediately, right? In the form of taxes. Or you can do what billionaires do every day, right? They borrow against their Tesla stock. They borrow against their Facebook. They borrow against their Bitcoin. They don't sell it. And then, again, if you do it through a company or you do it through whatever, you can even expense it as a business expense, the interest itself. But we only lend you about 50% of what you have in assets. So let's say you have $1,000 with us, we'll lend you $500 against it, right? So what we get is we lent you $500, but we got $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, and we don't pay interest on it, right? Because you took the loan. So now when we lend that out, the same $1,000 we lend out just next to the other Bitcoin that are from users who don't take loans, we get to keep all the income from that. So because we're making enough income on that lent out Bitcoin, we can effectively lower the rate on the lending, on the rates. Now, rich people do that all the time. I have an account with Fidelity. Again, I'm part of the 1%, part of the 0.1%. And I can tell you, I pay 1.7% interest when I borrow against my Tesla stock. That's what Fidelity charges me, right? Because they never charge me any fees, and they charge me almost nothing when I take loans. And I ask myself, how come the average Joe cannot get this rate? And the only reason is because banks know They know that you can pay them 9, 10, 15, even 24% on your credit card. And they're like, why would I give you a good deal if I can steal from you and take 24%? That's the only reason. You understand? So what Celsius has done is basically said, look, we're going to treat the guy with $100 and the guy with $100 million exactly the same. We're going to give him the same loans. We're going to give him the same yield. We're going to give him the same no fee treatment, right? Everything that we're going to give that used to belong only to the rich, right? So it's that simple, right? There's no complexity to this, right? It's we've taken why, because like I really, Daniel and I built this for ourselves, right? And then 1.5 million people showed up, right? So and I hope the next 100 million people are going to show up, because every person that joins crypto and joins yield and loans is another person who left the banking system, is another person who managed to unbank themselves. And hopefully by the time these guys finish canceling all of their fees, hidden fees, and inactivity fees and ATM fees and you name it, right? By the time they finish that, they'll have no customers left.
Yeah, I think that's honestly really admirable, right? Because people, like you said, are getting screwed by just keeping their money in the bank because they're not earning on their money. Their money is losing value due to inflation, as we know. And I feel like a lot of the younger generation just doesn't have that financial literacy, right? They think, or even old people think it's a scam when they see 8% on your stable coins. And I guess they just don't understand, right? But
the scam is that your bank doesn't pay you that. That's the scam.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's what some people also don't understand too. They just think that it's safer to keep it in a bank. But going more into yields, just kind of at a high level, can you tell me what you plan on to do with the Celsius X and how you intend to grow it?
Yeah, so for those of you who are in the know, yesterday somebody leaked out that we partner with Polygon and we're going to launch a layer 2 basically solution that involves a lot of things that don't exist today. So basically you'll be able to move assets between chains. You'll be able to swap. You'll be able to natively transact on layer 2 with zero fees, zero spreads. And that is again, this is native. I know a lot of people read about cross chain and multi chain and all that stuff. All that is great, but it's pretty risky, right? And again, imagine that the video Lucy with the chocolates on the production line. Imagine 2 production lines like that, right? With different chocolates running at different speeds, and you're trying to match them up and move things between and try to keep all that going. That's a multi-chain solution, a DeFi multi-chain solution, where you're trying to run on 2 chains with a smart contract. What Celsius X is doing is basically saying we're native on 16 blockchain. So why don't we natively issue assets, wrap assets, settle assets, pay yield, take loans, do all that stuff natively without any hacker or without anyone being able to take advantage of you trying to transact across multiple production lines, right? Like these blockchains. So it's really something very, very different. And I think that's why Polygon got super excited about it and partnered with us. And we'll be launching that next month. And super excited about the implementation and the innovation and all the things. Again, it's great for the community, right? You can avoid paying all the gas fees and waiting for settlement and worrying about the transaction being completed. And Celsius stands behind it with almost 30 billion in assets. So if DeFi is really the Wild West. I mean, if you know what you're doing, it's great. But if you don't, man, you can really get in trouble.
Yeah, no, that's super exciting to hear, because obviously Ethereum gas fees are just way too high for people that aren't basically rich. So to be able to borrow and just use your platform on chains is really exciting. And kind of want to bring up like I guess a security question. So, as you know, Robinhood restricted trading last year or year before, I believe, and that led investors to being hurt. In doing so, decentralization has been pushed more heavily, I would say. What is Celsius doing to make sure that this can't happen? Because you guys aren't fully decentralized, but and I'm not accusing that you would just kill switch. But what are some of the systems in place to help prevent this from happening?
Well, first, Celsius is the real Robinhood, not Robinhood, right? We paid $1 billion to the community. How much did Robinhood pay its community? Robinhood does the same thing that Celsius does. It lends out your securities to institutions like Citadel. It collects billions of dollars from these institutions. How much did it send you last year in a check saying, hey, thank you for giving us your security. Here's your rewards. Here's your yield on all of your securities, right? So Celsius sent $1 billion to its community. Robinhood said $0 to its community. It didn't charge you anything, but it also didn't send you anything. So just to make sure everybody understands that, right? So I think they should come up with a new name, and we should take over the name Robinhood. What do you think to that? You think we should switch over?
Nah, it has a bad taste to the name. I think you guys are good.
Right. They're definitely not from the hood. I can tell you that much, So look, about centralization and decentralization. So Celsius is probably the largest, if not one of the largest participants on any DeFi market. Aave, largest. Whatever. Badger, largest. Name a protocol, and Celsius Compound, we're probably number one on Compound, right? So name a protocol. Celsius is the largest, one of the largest DeFi participant, fully decentralized participant on any of these protocols. So there is no CeFi versus DeFi. I know a lot of people want to present it that way, but it's all of us together against TradFi. That's what's happening, right? So sometimes we're a borrower, sometimes we're a lender, right? You pay me to be a borrower, I borrow money from DeFi. You pay me to be a lender, I'm a lender to DeFi, right? And then most of that goes to our community. So Celsius also provides more transparency than any other project, right? If I asked you guys here to verify that Aave, for example, does everything that it's supposed to do as a decentralized protocol, you would need to spend months, hire a whole team, audit all their stuff, audit all the transactions, and even then, you would be hard to come by with proof that they've done what they promised to do, right? But Celsius provides all that information in real time through our proof of community and the Rewards Explorer and everything else. You can verify through cryptographic proof that you receive. If you're 1% of the Bitcoin pool or the Ethereum pool, you received 1% of the yield created in that pool, right? So that is the definition of DeFi, right? And all of our implementations, including the Cell token, are running on smart contracts, right? So there is no kill switch. The opposite. There's more transparency than any DeFi project, and our community holds us accountable. I mean, many of the people on this call are people in the Celsius community who watch everything we do, and they post all day long. Hey, Alex sold 2,000 tokens. Alex, whatever, did this and that. Oh, Alex says he has 300 million. He only has 298 million on Celsius, or whatever. So every day they post stuff. Why? Because it's fully transparent, right? So that's what we're celebrating, right? And the minute we do something that is not in the best interest of the community, all these people are going to vote with their wallets. They're all going to leave. Why? There's 100 other places to go to. So I think that is the definition of competition, of acting in the best interest of the community, right? Of building stuff that is on all of our best interest, long-term thinking, all the things that are hard to come by in many of these DeFi projects, where you see people launch a project and then dump on their community 2 weeks later. Right? We're 4.5 years old. How many DeFi projects do you know that are 4.5 years old? Zero.
Right. Yeah.
Zero, right? So me, Daniel, and Nook, the three founders, still hold close to 90% of our tokens. Show me one DeFi or CeFi or blockchain project, one, just one, in which the founders still hold 90% of their tokens. Anyone, any project. But, like it's so Satoshi is the only exception. He still holds 100% of his tokens, So my point is that watch what they do, not what they say, right? And be careful, because most of the people out there talk a big game and shield their project and do this and that, but then they do the opposite, right? So just saying.
Yeah, no, I think you touched on a really great point, which was community, right? And people vote with their wallets. And I think you guys at Celsius have done a great job at building your community. Like Mewtwo was saying, I'm always seeing a Celsius AMA or just a community popping in and talking about Celsius. And, that's something really special, especially when we talk about, us against TradFi. Like it starts with one person, then a few, and then many, and then slowly the banks are screwed. So I think that's really special. And I just kind of want to ask if you've seen like an influx from TradeFi, due to your yields through your corporate onboarding, and if you could just kind of talk on that a little bit.
I'll tell you one story that is hard to believe, okay? But luckily Zach is here, so he can testify to this, because he's dealing with that customer. But we had someone open an account and then deposit like $30 million. Didn't talk to us, didn't say anything, and we were like, who is this? And then we look it up, and they're like a sovereign fund. They claim to be a sovereign fund from a country, and we're like, come on, must be some fake identity, somebody pretending to be from a sovereign fund, right? So we reach out to them, and they're like, look, if you don't believe us, call our embassy and ask about this and this person. This is who I am, and I represent the sovereign fund of this and that country, right? So we check it out, and it's legit. And then we call him back, and he's like, oh, by the way, I want to put another 70 million. I want to go to over 100 in Celsius, And we're like, so this is happening now over the internet, right? This is not, we didn't meet this person. He didn't fly in and meet with us. We didn't take him to a fancy steak restaurant on Fifth Avenue or whatever, right? This is just crypto, right? And so it's just crazy, right? This is crazy what's happening out there. And all I can tell you is that while people watch the daily news and they read good things or bad things about Bitcoin or about Ethereum, there's amazing stuff going on. I mean, you're seeing giant institutions, basically committing to the space, right? So one of the best investors in the world, he's from Baltimore. Bill, what's his last name, Gus? Bill. He ran the Leg Mason fund. I forgot his last name. Bill. Gosh, one of you knows or no? Anyway, so he's the only guy on the planet who ever beat the index, the S&P index, 15 years in a row. Okay. And they asked him recently, he was on CNBC recently. They said to him, okay, well, what's your portfolio now? You're a maven, you're a genius, And he's like, I'm 50% Bitcoin and 50% Amazon. They're like, that's it? He's like, I sold everything else. Okay. So this is someone who didn't have Bitcoin just a few years ago at all, right? Now is 50% of his portfolio is Bitcoin. So it just tells you how far we have come, right? That this is considered norm on CNBC.
I think that was Bill Miller.
Miller, thank you, Bill Miller. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's super exciting to hear. Some guy wanted to, just put in 100 million, and I it's really cool to see that in like real time, right? Because like right now doing it, I'm not saying it's not a big deal, but it almost like doesn't seem like a big deal. But then looking back on it, say 3, 4, 5 years from now, it's history is happening in real time, and I think that's really exciting. I kind of wanted to ask what your plans were for the Celsius credit card, and how does it fit into your mission at Celsius? Because it could enable almost like digital nomads, right? You'd be able to totally debank yourself and just travel and use your Celsius card while you have your coins in there earning interest. I know Mewtwo has mentioned he's gonna digital nomad, so maybe he's looking into that option as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's all. That's the only piece that is missing, right? So last year we had 3 Amigos that we were launching. These are 3 products. One was earn and sell for U.S. Accredited investors. We had on ramps, and we had swap function, right? Swap with no fees, no spreads, and so on. So again, those are best of breed on the Celsius platform. This year, I asked the community, hey, what do you guys want me to deliver for 2022? And they sent me a picture of the 3 Amigos from what's that movie? I don't know, the 3 comedians with the sombreros. Forgot the name of the anyway, it's a famous movie. So, and they said, okay, we want more utility for Cell Token, credit card, and what was the third one? I already forgot what was the third one. But anyway, I'll post it on Twitter for those of you who haven't seen it. So credit card is definitely one of the things we committed to do this year. It's probably going to happen again in the first 6 months. And again, it's a magical product, right? It's something that never existed. And I'm super excited that Visa partnered with us to actually build it. I frankly didn't believe that Visa is gonna go for it, but it's a product that charges you a single-digit interest rate, right? Instead of the crazy rates that banks charge you, where they rip you off, and no matter what you do, it's like you sneeze, and they're like, "Oh, you sneezed. Your rate used to be 16%. Now it's 29.95. You were 5 minutes late to send us a payment. Okay, penalties, late fees, 29% interest forever, for life. You're in jail for life. You're never getting out. So instead of that, how about we treat you like a responsible adult, and we give you a single-digit interest rate, right, when you need to borrow some money. So that's what's coming out. No fees, no annual fees, no surprise fees, no inactivity fees, right? You just get a card, and like you said, you can transact basically anywhere on the planet. And again, you're not the beauty is that you're not selling any of your Bitcoin. You're not selling any of your ETH. You're just borrowing against it, like the billionaires do every day of their lives, right? I mean, remember our previous president. Remember, he was bragging that he never pays any taxes. That's because he borrows against his real estate, right? And that all the laws about that apply to you as well. You just need to know how to use it, right? So instead of making it complicated and only people who have a lot of money and people who have lawyers and accountants, how about it's automatic on every account you have, on every asset you have? The feature is automatic, right? You're always borrowing against your assets, and that's how you're building your financial freedom. So those are things that when you think in a way of how do I help the community instead of how do I squeeze margin out of the community, then magic happens.
Hey, Alex, I want to pivot here and kind of talk about the corporate side of Celsius and your thoughts on the regulatory landscape. I'm not sure if you could name any companies, but what has the appetite been for adoption for the Celsius corporate onboarding platform that you guys recently rolled out?
Yeah, so we have thousands of accounts, probably tens of thousands of accounts. We've been adding them in an increasing speed. Again, a lot of you've seen a lot of corporations add Bitcoin to their balance sheet. Now it's like almost a common thing. Like it used to be, like a company would buy some Bitcoin and people will be front news. Everybody will be talking about it. Now no one talks about it because everybody's doing it, right? So all these companies are basically saying, well, I got to put it somewhere. Where do I put it? Guess what? Every custody company out there charges you to custody that Bitcoin. If you're a company, you can't get it for free. You can't just open an account and put it for free, right? They charge you. Like NYDIG, I think, charges 0.25% per year, That is the custody fee that they charge you, right? So after 4 years, you paid 1%. You're minus 1% with NYDIG. With Celsius, the account is free. There's no annual fees, and we pay you 6% per year. So after 4 years, you have over 20% more Bitcoin in your account versus minus 1%. You understand? So again, like, are we here to build the future, or are we here to copy the worst practices of Wall Street, right? And bring all of that nasty fees and all kind of 500 forms that you have to fill out and to qualify and whatever, right? So it's just mind-boggling that all these companies that were created all basically base their revenues on fees instead of doing what Celsius does, where we charge institutions and exchanges fees, and we pay to the community. And I invite everybody to copy our business model. You know, why are you copying the Robinhood business model? Copy our business model.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, are there any trends that you guys have noticed across the types of industries of adoption that you're seeing, or the size of the businesses, or is it really just kind of across the board in many different industries and many different size corporations that are looking to your guys' services?
No, we have everything. We have people from all over the world. We support over 200 countries. And obviously, there's people from the United States and Europe and so on. But there's also a lot of like people from Singapore or from Hong Kong or from Isle of Man. Somehow, there's a lot of companies in the Isle of Man. I can tell you that much. So obviously you have to be legal. We do KYC, we do AML. We don't deal with we don't want any bad apple to spoil this basket of yield that we created. But if you're legit and you're not the brother of the president of this or that country, then you're good to go. You can earn yield and get the benefits like everybody else. If you have shady ties, or we can't verify where the money came from, or we see on the blockchain that your Bitcoin came from a mixer or something like that, then we don't talk to you, even if you're a sovereign fund.
Yeah, you had kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. I wanted to circle back to this point, but you had kind of talked about how DeFi is the Wild West. So you really got to be careful out there. I'm actually curious, like, what are your thoughts on the future of DeFi regulations, and how are you guys planning on approaching that at Celsius in the future?
Look, regulators already are squeezing stuff, right? You have the travel rule, you have the source of funds, you have all these things. You have subpoenas being issued to DAOs, right? And people who are participating in DAOs. And so it's clear that regulators, even though we think that all of us, right, think that DAOs should be not governed by any of these rules, unfortunately, none of the regulators agree with us. And so we have to decide, right? Are we going to live offshore and pretend like none of the rules apply to us, or try to work with these entities, the SEC, the CFTC, the FCA in the UK, and so on, to try to lobby them to do what's in the people's best interest? I mean, in the United States, about half of adults already have crypto, right? So if you did a vote, about half of the people would vote for crypto automatically, right? In favor of DeFi. So we're almost there, right? And I'm sure if we educated the rest of the people, we can get a bunch of them to agree with us, and then we have a majority, right? And then politicians they don't care if you're crypto or anti-crypto. If you vote for them, they will do whatever you tell them. And if you tell them that you want crypto or DeFi to have less regulation, then they'll create laws with less regulation. So we just need to do it the same way that other people are passing laws that help them, right? We need a lobbying group, and we have those. Celsius participates in several of them in Washington and in other countries, and I can tell you that there's a lot of effort going on to convince lawmakers and regulators to go easy or solve this uncertainty problem related to regulation.
Yeah, that is really interesting. And from the outside looking in, from my perspective, it does feel like kind of like the biggest blocker right now is just that education piece and really kind of breaking down that information asymmetry of this industry, and relaying that to regulators and legislators to kind of show them the light, and the promise of this technology. So it's awesome to hear that you guys are fighting the good fight there, and contributing towards that, because it helps all of us ultimately. I did want to pivot and kind of talk about Chainlink, because if I recall correctly, I was watching the smart contract or the SmartCon summit, and I believe you had a session on there in which I believe you announced that you guys were going to be utilizing CCIP. I think that was like the big announcement that you had done. If not, please correct me. But could you touch on that? Like, what does that partnership with Chainlink look like? And how do you guys plan on utilizing that technology?
Yeah, so we've been partners with Chainlink for a long time, and we launched Link, I don't know, at least 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and we incorporated Chainlink oracles across the company, both for internal and external use. So, like recently, I don't know if you saw, but when CMC had that disaster and it caused all kind of havoc across the crypto space, Celsius did not have any issues quoting accurate numbers. It was nice to see that Cell token went up to $957,000 versus where it is today. So I definitely like that part. But obviously, providing erroneous information to people is not helpful, especially in an industry that is trying to replace TradFi. So what we focused on with Chainlink was on CCIP, like you said. It's a cross-chain interoperability protocol. That's what it stands for. And it's part of the Celsius X launch, where basically, again, if you're running on multiple chains, how do you provide accurate information? How do you allow participants to know that the prices you're quoting, the exchanges you're making, everything is best practices, that you're not cheating them, you're not giving them pricing that might be good for you but bad for the person transacting on the chain. So what CCIP does, it guarantees that, right? It gives you a stamp of approval. And what Celsius does is then incorporates that quote, the price quote, and the data from Chainlink into our zero proof that we provide to you in our proof of community and the rewards explorer protocol, right? So we take all of that, we basically put it on a side chain, we encapsulate it forever, right? It's immutable, and then we give you that proof, and you can basically, any user of Celsius can go and verify what was your quote when you do a swap with Celsius. What did you get? Did you really get the best price across the entire crypto space, including DeFi? And again, I would tell you 99% of our users don't use that. It shows up. The link is available in their interest payment every Monday. It reminds them, hey, you can click on this link and verify all your transactions. They don't use it because they trust us, but the beauty that you can trust and verify, right, at any time you want, is something that nobody else provides. So again, this combination with Chainlink, which is obviously a pure and pristine information provider in the CeFi and DeFi world, is another step in that we're raising the bar across the industry in what it takes to be a trusted player in crypto.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome. Here at the Base Space, we're really big Link supporters, a lot of Link Marines in our community. So we love that you guys have like a really cohesive, complementary relationship. I did want to circle back. I noticed that you guys offer yield on a lot of different stable coins. And we're seeing new narratives pop up with new stable coins. And I'm just kind of curious, like from your point of view, like what is kind of the criteria that you guys use to list new stable coins? And how do you kind of see the future of stable coins play out? Like, will we kind of just see this kind of endless creation of new stable coins, or do you think at some point in time there will kind of be a line in the sand and we'll have like a few majors?
Yeah, I think we need to change the name from stable coins to inflationary coins, right? Because all these coins are going through tremendous inflation, and when you tell people, "Oh, these are stable," people think, "Oh, good, it doesn't change in value." Of course, it changes in value, right? Like 40% of all the dollars in the world were printed in the last year and a half. So your dollar has lost 40% of their value, but they're still considered stable. So um, so we don't pick winners and losers. That's not our job. We don't decide which coins or tokens are good and which ones are bad. Our job is to figure out who is a reputable issuer, who is where we can earn yield, and if we can get those two together. So, for example, if Circle is a reputable issuer and we can earn yield on USDC, we're going to list that token, right? If Chainlink is a reputable issuer and we can earn yield on Link, we will issue that token, right? And so on, so on. Um, I think we have 13 different stable coins, including Canadian dollar and Australian dollar and the British pound and so on. And if you have a project and you want us to list your token, great. Just come talk to us, and we will, if you pass the test, we will add you to the wallet. We're planning to add at least 50 new coins and tokens this year. So we're definitely gonna double the book, and earn even more yield for our community. So the future of stable coins is unclear. Obviously, you have central banks, CBDCs, planning to issue their own coins, and it's unclear if these are going to compete or supplement stable coins. So, like in China, for example, it's clear that the digital yuan issued by the Central Bank of China is there to replace everything else, replace Bitcoin, replace physical currency, replace credit cards, you name it. Everything is going to move to transact on that in the wallets issued by the government, and those wallets only support digital yuan issued by the central bank. So that's one extreme. The other extreme is that everybody is going to go and issue their own stable coin, right? So obviously we don't want that either, right? So I think right now the Fed and other entities are scratching their head trying to figure out, okay, what is that balance? How do we let industry still create healthy competition, healthy innovation, but at the same time we don't look like China, we don't look like Russia, right? So that's what's at stake, and we'll see what they come up with, right? I mean, everybody's waiting for them to announce what is their plans. But in the meantime, again, Celsius supports all the main ones: USDT, USDC, TUSD, Paxos, Standard, and so on.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting future for stable coins and what the landscape will look like. Alex, just to wrap things up here, what new developments are you like super excited about that are launching on Celsius in 2022 that the audience should look out for?
Yeah, so look, we raised the second largest round in crypto, 750 million. We went from less than 100 employees to over 800 last year. So huge developments, and all that is so we can deliver even more stuff for the community, right? So we're still looking to hire a lot of new engineers. So if you have any programming skills, DeFi skills, you want to do some see DeFi, right? And we definitely want to add you to the team, and we want to build the future. I mean, Celsius X is a great example. The credit card, right? A lot of things that we were announced already. We obviously are also big in mining, and one of the largest miners in the world. And so we're basically operate on all areas of crypto, and we're scaling right now. We announced with Polygon, but we hope to add several more chains this year. So again, create our own version of native multi-chain, if you want to call it that. And again, eliminate friction, eliminate fees, eliminate uncertainty, and make it much easier for the next billion people to join crypto, right, from all over the world. So that's our mission, and we're sticking with it.
I love that. Alex, thank you so much for coming on the Base Space. We just really appreciate you taking the time out to speak to us today.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for doing what you do, because it takes time and commitment and to educate the community, and you guys are important part of what makes this industry tick. So I really want to also thank you guys for your continuous efforts of educating everybody and separating the wheat from the chaff, allowing people to learn and come to a safe space to learn everything about crypto.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that, Alex.
We record these and put them on YouTube. Do we have your consent for that?
Sure thing. Yes.
Sweet. Perfect.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right, everybody.
Stay based.
All right, guys.